Welcome to the 26th episode of Global Heat Map. It's an initiative by USI of India where we take you through the important international and strategic events of last 2 weeks and update all candidates who are appearing in any kind of competition. In today's episode, we'll talk about 20-point peace plan of President Trump for Gaza-related issues. We'll also talk about Russia-Ukraine war, the latest progress. US did strike certain ships of Venezuela this last 2 weeks. We'll talk about that. Indo-US relations show no signs of improvement. Some update on that. Pakistan continues to remain turbulent and there have been some protests internally in Ladakh too. President Trump has suggested a 20-point plan for Gaza war. Now this peace plan was also announced when addressed the audience with Prime Minister Netanyahu. The major issues in this plan include that Hamas has to release all the hostages immediately and give the remaining dead bodies in 72 hours after they accept. And in response, Israel will release 2,000 Palestinian prisoners as well. There will be a complete ceasefire, complete disarmament of Hamas. It also talks of Hamas having no role in governance of Gaza. The humanitarian aid should flow unrestricted and Israel would withdraw in phases and thereafter interim government is going to come up there. Also, this will be followed by international stabilization force and this is how President Trump has packaged this entire peace plan. Although Israel at the face value accepted it, but the moment Prime Minister Netanyahu went from there, he did not accept the existence of the Palestinian state. Although this plan gives some window to have a separate Palestinian state. The plan was welcomed by most of the Arab world and most of the allies of United States. Hamas is studying the plan. President Trump gave them 72 to 48 hours, 72 hours to accept it, or then otherwise Israel be allowed to finish the job as Netanyahu calls it. Now, if we critically analyze this plan, the genesis is that USA and Israel, even after the UNGA assembly, where most of the world condemned what the kind of genocide which is happening in Gaza, they were under pressure. Now, to ward off that pressure, they have rolled out a plan. At the face value, it looks reasonable, but then the fact is there are many suspicions of Hamas in this plan because there is no guarantee that firstly Israel will follow all the conditions. It did not follow in Lebanon, it did not follow in Syria. There is no way that everybody can believe that they will follow through this entire plan. Secondly, Hamas is apprehensive that if we lay down the arms, although the plan caters for that the compliant Hamas will be allowed to move out from Gaza and will certainly not be targeted. But then there is no doubt that in their mind that they will still be targeted. Also, the conditions on compliance on Israel seem to be slightly difficult. So what is being felt is that maybe that under pressure, both the countries, that is USA and Israel, they have rolled out a plan. They are hoping that Hamas will not accept it. And once Hamas does not accept it, then they can continue with what they are doing with the justification that yes, we gave a chance to Hamas and Hamas did not comply with it. And that's why the so-called genocide is on. In the meantime, what has happened is that Gaza, Israel has told Palestinians to vacate Gaza completely and also warned that anybody who is left in Gaza city, he will be treated as terrorists. So in other words, if they can bomb, even if they can carpet bomb the Gaza city, they would have in some way tried to justify it by giving a warning of this kind. Although the people feel that wherever they go, they are being targeted. So it's not necessary that wherever they go, they will be safe there. In the meantime, there was a flotilla of Gaza aid of 40 ships and almost about 400 activists which was going towards Gaza. That has also been intercepted by Israel. There was certain eminent activists like Greta Thunberg in that, and the grandson of Nelson Mandela. But I think they have been confiscated and they have been not been allowed to reach Gaza. Also, with the recklessness which Israel showed in the recent past that it attacked Qatar, US has signed an executive order, that is President Trump has signed an executive order that it will defend Qatar. This is basically to mend ties with the Arab world because that was suffering, and Saudi Arabia went into the fold of Pakistan to get their nuclear shield because they found that US was unreliable. So I think President Trump is trying to do some kind of damage control by signing such an order. Coming on to the Russia-Ukraine war. In last 2 weeks, there were many European countries which claimed that there were drones flying over their territory, maybe for surveillance or maybe for spying. That is anybody's speculation. And they alleged that Russia was behind all these drones. This is after there were few Russian aircraft scrambled in Poland, which entered their airspace. Although Russia denies everything and says that this is all a provocation to perhaps escalate against Russia. So we will have to wait and see as to how this provocation plays up in times to come. In the meantime, US has also shown some kind of willingness to share intelligence with Ukraine. There was a meeting between President Trump and Zelensky again, where President Trump has promised some more support to him. There are also rumors that the US has agreed to give them long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles as well, and also the facility to target long-range strikes or guide long-range strikes by the surveillance systems. Putin has certainly vowed against the provocation by Europe and has said that it will be responded accordingly. In the meantime, there was pressure on Europe from USA that they should stop buying Russian oil and Russian products. In Europe, again, there is a divided opinion. Slovakia and Hungary are not in agreement for quitting the Russian oil because they are not getting a reasonable alternative. Similarly, to tighten knots on Russian flow of oil, the shadow fleet of Russia, which carries such oil, was also being targeted. There was a ship, Borake, which was impounded by France. It is alleged to be a Russian shadow fleet, a part of Russian shadow fleet, and it was being commanded by a Chinese captain who is facing trial in France. So this is again a provocation which I'm sure China and Russia won't be very happy about it. US has also struck Venezuela. The logic is President Trump doesn't want Maduro to be the president. They back an opposition leader. The allegation which they have put on Venezuela is that these ships were carrying narcotics to USA, and that's why we have targeted. So they were all narco-terrorists. Although there have been no confirmation, there has been no investigation, and the ships were targeted without any proof of they carrying narcotics. Similarly, also the Maduro has also said that this is an effort by USA to strike Venezuela and basically an effort to change my regime or remove me from power. What he has said. But then the fact is that militarily, if USA is finding an excuse, despite President Trump trying to claim that he should be nominated for Nobel Peace Prize, but I think he is also becoming reckless and also showing hegemonic design in a manner that he earlier talked of Canada being a state of USA, and then he talked of Greenland and then Panama Canal, and now he's talking about Venezuela and maybe perhaps some kind of regime change in Venezuela, although he has not claimed to do so. At the same time, Venezuela is also trying to build up its defenses. The Venezuela Assembly has approved a strategic association and cooperation treaty between Venezuela and Russia. So they are now looking towards Russia. Venezuela already has lot of Russian weapons and equipment, and therefore maybe that it is looking towards Russia for some kind of support. But Russia itself is involved in the Russia-Ukraine war, so therefore the support may be limited, but notwithstanding that, a tug of war continues in that region. Coming on to back home, as far as US and India relations are concerned, after 50% tariff which was imposed on India, that is 25% that was a normal retaliatory tariff, and 25% was tariff for buying Russian oil. After that, again, USA has revoked the sanction waiver which was given to India on Chabahar port in operating one of the terminal. We are operating one of the terminal there. So that sanction, the waiver has also been revoked now. At the same time, we also saw in last 2 weeks, the H-1B program visa was actually the hiking of this fees for H-1B visa to $1 lakh has actually paralyzed this plan. And it is going to impact a fair amount of students from India as well as fair amount of workers from India, which are a high-class talent for USA. The logic which President Trump and his team is giving is that they are basically looking at job creation for locals. It is also to please the MAGA vote bank and also to pressurize India for a favorable trade deal. Also, they quote that visa regime was being used for anti-US activities, including some of the security issues as well as some of the visa frauds which they allege happened because of these programs. But when it comes to this policy, of course, there is nothing very much which anybody can do because it's a sovereign policy of US. Because visa policy is something which is a sovereign policy. And what the kind of restrictions which they are posing or the kind of fees which they have imposed is for 12 months and it may be extendable. But it does not apply for the people who are already there in this program. So it is basically for all the workers who are going, workers or students who are going later. So initially the announcement was in a manner that it is applicable to everybody. But I think after a lot of pressure from the tech industry there, President Trump and his team did a little bit of U-turn, and then they said, no, it is only for the new inductees. Now, there are implications for India in a manner that it will impact the service sector of India. It will also impose some kind of humanitarian cost for the people who are going. But then on the hindsight or on the flip side, we also look at it as an opportunity in a manner that we will have the better talent coming to India or being retained in India. And also the tech companies who will get impacted by this, they are looking at the global capability centers being extended in India in some manner or the other. And India should also give some kind of incentives to open such centers so that they outsource the job here. Although President Trump is trying to target that part, but that may be much more difficult because a large number of companies already have business establishments here, which already exist. Similarly, it will also help us in checking the brain drain or reversing the brain drain, as well as improving our self-reliant capability with better talent being retained in the country. At the same time, USA has also done some more tariffs, that is 100% tariffs on pharmaceuticals. Now, most of these tariffs are basically on the patented drugs, and India normally sends most of the generic drugs. So India is not that badly affected as many other countries are. At the same time, USA has also imposed 100% tariff on all movies which are being made outside USA. So it will impact Hollywood perhaps more than Bollywood, because yes, there is a 30% of revenue being generated in USA from the Bollywood movies. That will get impacted to some extent. But at the same time, Hollywood also, to bring down the cost of making movies, does most of the shooting outside US. So they also will have to suffer. At the same time, the people of America will have to suffer a lot for the simple reason, because all these tariffs at the end of the day, for all inescapable goods, they will have to pay more. So at the end of the day, it will be Americans who will be paying the bulk of it. India has not backed down despite all these tariffs. India is going ahead with its policies. At the same time, it has also not shut doors for trade negotiations. And India, when Prime Minister, when the foreign minister had gone to USA, that time he had held a meeting of India, Brazil, and South Africa in New York for tackling trade or for the interstate trade between the BRICS countries. India is also reasonably defiant and is going to certainly look after its own interest as far as these trade deals are concerned, and is unlikely to back down because there are certain red lines where we can't, whether it is the case of Russian oil or it is the case of opening up the agriculture sector to USA. We also see in our neighborhood, Pakistan is reasonably turbulent. Pakistan military continues to be attacked by Khyber Pakhtunkhwa as well as in Balochistan. There were some casualties, and Pakistan military in retaliation launched an airstrike in Pakistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, and a lot of civilians got killed, and there is a fair amount of resentment and protests. At the same time, protests are also there in POJK, that is Pak occupies Jammu and Kashmir, where the immediate trigger was that there are certain reserved seats in their assemblies for refugees. Now, those seats are being played around politically by the Punjabi ruling party, and they are actually putting their own candidates instead of the genuine refugees. At the same time, people of POJK feels that bulk of the electricity is being generated in POJK. There are a lot of dams there, and they generate sufficient electricity for POJK, but they are being starved for the electricity with very high prices and tariffs and taxes. There is a fair amount of resentment. The protests have gone violent, and I think Pakistan has a problem at hand as far as all these protests are concerned. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, again getting back there, they also, after all these strikes, they also plan to shift some of the terrorist camps which were targeted towards India, like LAT, into Khyber Pakhtunkhwa to save themselves, because they feel that maybe that if they shift these camps into Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they can escape the Indian strike should some terrorist attack take place in India. But notwithstanding that, as far as India is concerned, in case there is a strike of terrorists in India, the corresponding terrorist camp, wherever they are, will be targeted, whether it may be anywhere in Pakistan. While the country is under turmoil and internal disturbance, Asif Munir and Shehbaz Sharif, they were in White House trying to sell off their rare earth materials. They've already sold off a lot of interests of Pakistan, made a lot of investments in crypto and things like that. But at the same time, they also told Washington's line on Gaza, which has not been liked by Pakistani people, and there are some pushbacks there as well. Also, there has been some build-up of Pakistan in Sir Creek area, for which the Defense Minister of India has warned them of any misadventure. It's an old, unnecessary claim because the historical records and the rule position clearly indicates that the border lies in the center of the water body of the Sir Creek, which is a tidal estuary of about 96 kilometers. And it is backed by certain principles, UNCLOS, as well as certain maps during British time, which India quotes as the reason for recognizing the border as such. Although Pakistan illogically keeps claiming that it is as per the eastern border, the eastern side of the river body, which is towards India. Although India, even earlier, whenever there were certain actions taken by Pakistan, that was somewhere around early 1965, and also in 1999, they tried to fly some aircrafts which were shot down by India. Also, we see that India is also now in talking terms with Taliban, and one of their leader, Amir Khan Muttaqi, is likely to visit India. That also, I think, is a subtle message to Pakistan to behave as far as the Sir Creek is concerned, as far as terrorism is concerned. Internally, there have been some protests in Ladakh. Basically, these protests are for statehood and inclusion into sixth schedule. The talks are on, although the central government offered for talks, but the apex body of Leh and the Kargil Democratic Alliance have walked out of the talks as of now. Their activist Sonam Wangchu is under arrest, and it is being seen that there has been some kind of fund flow and there has been some kind of instigation, as well as maybe some external hand that is being investigated. So the protests are on. At the same time, I think presently the situation is under control, and I'm sure the talks with those we will be able to resolve this issue as well. So these were all the important events which happened in last 2 weeks. We'll come back again for covering all the events for next 2 weeks in the next episode. Thank you very much.